Okay, we can start.
All right. Roll call, please.
Gawas,
Here.
Jeevers, Mandel,
Here.
Stevens,
Here.
Whitfield.
Here.
This meeting was adequately noticed on January 7th, 2022 to the Princeton Packet, the Times filed with the clerk, posted in the municipal building and on the township website. Would everybody please stand for the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. At this time, under ceremonial matters, I would ask the mayor to address the township.
Mayor, do you want to wait till they get in?
That's okay. No, I can see, yeah. Thanks to the Township Council for your kind invitation to give my State of the Township address during tonight's meeting. I don't like giving speeches, and every year I try to put this one off as long as I possibly can. That means when I can't put gay off anymore. This year, the timing proved to be lucky because it gives me an opportunity to truly address the state of the township today and in future. It gives me an opportunity to answer the burning question on everyone's mind. However, before I get to that topic, I would like to acknowledge that by all counts, we are on the other side of the pandemic that gripped us for 2 years. West Windsor came out of the pandemic as strong or stronger than before, thanks to 3 groups. First, the township employees who worked through the pandemic and went about their business without closing the township office for a single day. The building was closed and is still closed, but people for the most part came to work every day and carried out their duties faithfully. Second, the Township Council and all boards and committees that worked with me through uncertainty and ever-changing rules. Their flexibility and willingness to work together made my life a lot easier and actions more productive. Lastly, and most important, the community members who followed guidelines to protect themselves and their neighbors. Thanks to all of you, I was proud to lead West Windsor during the pandemic. Just a few highlights of the last year before I address the elephant in the room. During 2020 and 2021, we had 0 municipal tax increase, even when we lost substantial revenue due to pandemic. This year, the tax increase is less than a penny, 0.009 penny to be exact. Even while maintaining low taxes, we increased our surplus by $1.2 million during 2021. During 2021, we spent about $2 million to fix roads. The major roads fixed were Southfield, Bennington Drive, and Millstone Road. Part of this work was funded by NJDOT. The 2022 budget has $2.4 million committed to road improvements. During 2021, we fixed 16,072 square feet of sidewalks, which equates to about 940 sections at 124 different locations. We spent $149,000 for the work, which would have cost homeowners over $350,000. Currently, we have 110 locations on the pending list of sidewalks for repairs. We expect a sharp increase in bids due to higher inflation. The number of locations that had to be repaired for for either the second or third time during the past 5 to 10 years was still observed to be very low. This year looks equally promising, and I believe the council and residents will be pleased with the state of the township at the end of this year. I would like to take this opportunity to address the question on everyone's mind about the warehouse project that is being heard by the planning board. As most of you know, I can't talk specifics of the project, but would like to address various questions and concerns that have been raised and that don't pertain to the planning board hearing. First, a little bit of history. How we got here in terms of affordable housing and the legal settlement we signed with Atlantic Realty, the new owner of Howard Hughes' property. During the current, which is the third round of Fair Share Housing Center, demanded that West Windsor obligation for affordable housing was 2,200 units. This was by far the highest obligation in Mercer County. Mayor Shea's calculation showed West Windsor obligation to be around 1,100. The case was argued in front of Judge Jacobson in Mercer County Superior Court. The court appointed an expert paid for by West Windsor to calculate the number of units West Windsor needs to build in the current round, that's third round. The expert calculated the number closer to the West Windsor's estimated number of about 1,100 units. Judge Jacobson did not choose to follow recommendation of her own expert and instead ruled that West Windsor's obligation was around 1,500 units. That's why you see all these developments going around town. The randomness of this action is the exact reason I would like to protect West Windsor from such a court decision in future rounds. During the third round, Mayor Shea had identified a number of properties in order of priorities to fulfill our obligation based on the 1,500 number. The West Windsor Township Council approved the settlement agreement with the court in October 2018. Once we knew our numbers, West Windsor made some adjustments and managed to knock off one property with over 500 apartments near Southfield Road. This saved us from allowing a large 585 apartment complex at the intersection of Southfield Road and 571. The property owner, Atlantic Realty, sued for being left out of the settlement agreement. As part of affordable housing lawsuit, Howard Hughes had sued the township for the right to build over 1,900 units on their property. In the meantime, Atlantic Realty bought the Howard Hughes property and thus inherited the lawsuit. Thus, West Windsor now had two lawsuits pending from Atlantic Realty for the right to build over 2,400 apartments. Since West Windsor had fulfilled our obligation for the third round of affordable housing through 2025, we would have likely prevailed in both lawsuits. However, that also meant that during the next round of affordable housing, which is likely to start in 2025, these two properties would have naturally become the first choice to put affordable housing units. Allowing these many units within the next few years would have certainly put a lot of stress on township schools and residents. Having such a large prime land available for housing will certainly encourage the Fair Share Housing Center and the courts to impose even a higher quota of affordable housing to West Windsor during the fourth round. As your mayor, I had to make a decision how to protect township during the next round of affordable housing starting in 2025. The easiest solution would have been to ignore the problem and let a future mayor and the township council deal with the issue. That's not my philosophy, to ignore a problem, even if ignoring it is politically expedient. I tried to figure out the best way to protect the township. Given that the courts can force township to rezone any property for housing with an affordable housing lawsuit, something which happened to West Windsor when we lost to toll and Estates of Princeton Junction was built. This leaves not too many attractive options for the township. And this is true not just for West Windsor. You look all over New Jersey, you will see various mayors signing deals to get out of next round of affordable housing. Given the hand we were dealt, I reluctantly agreed to accept a warehouse as a proposed use on the property. At that time, warehousing was in great demand, and thus the builder was willing to accept that as a part of the settlement. Thus, we agreed to a single warehouse on border with East Windsor and multiple warehouses on the Howard Hughes site on the border with Lawrenceville and Hamilton. The single warehouse on East Windsor border was an easier choice, as the county required a traffic light for the warehouse, and majority of traffic from that warehouse is expected to go to Turnpike by using the bypass. Is it possible for a truck to turn right on 571? Yes, it is possible. But currently, there's nothing preventing trucks from 3 warehouses that East Windsor has built from sending their trucks on 571. The only question is which side of the border builds the warehouse and gets the property tax revenue and relief from the threat of affordable housing lawsuit. I chose to knock the property off as a possible site during the next round, while at the same time getting some tax revenue to control taxes. Reasonable people will disagree on whether the 5.5 million square feet multiple warehouse plan was too big. Given the size of the site, it was arrived at after long and tough negotiations with the developer. The challenge for that site is to ensure trucks not use Clarksville Road toward West Windsor. The planning board, which is currently considering the application, will put conditions on the applicant to ensure that it doesn't happen as much as possible. Once you read the conditions that will be posted on the website if they are not there already, you will realize that the planning board has done its job to make sure majority of traffic goes to Route 1 and Quaker Bridge Road. The planning board attorney has advised on record that West Windsor Police can enforce restrictions placed by West Windsor Planning Board on the site whether the county agrees with them or not. I would add a note of caution that the proposed conditions are proposed and they can be added to or modified by the planning board. And I do certainly expect during the deliberation, the planning board will add certain additional conditions to make sure that as few trucks get to Clarksville Road as possible. A few people have said they would prefer housing to warehousing. Let me explain what the burden township would face if housing was allowed on this property as proposed. Let me use an actual example from West Windsor's past. Another mayor at other time decided to just say no to housing and to Toll Brothers on a site that is known as Estate at Princeton Junction. The township went to court and lost. The judge took over the project and allowed Toll to build close to 1,100 homes and apartments. The Toll site was about 250 acres, while the Atlantic Realty site is about 558 acres, more than twice the size of Toll development. In those days, the housing density was much lower because most builders built single-family homes, not apartments. Currently, every builder wants to build high-density apartments. Thus, we are looking at close to 2,200 apartments if we decide to take a chance with the court and lose. Also knowing that such a big site is available for housing, the Fair Share Housing Center is unlikely to come up with a reasonable number during future rounds of affordable housing. For those who still don't realize the scale of our challenge, even at 0.7 child per dwelling, this will add about 1,500 kids to the school system. That is about 15% increase to the current school population. Which schools currently have space to absorb these extra students? How many parents will be happy with a class size that is 15% larger than the current class size? Under the current system, the school taxes are divided based on student population for each town, West Windsor and Plainsboro. West Windsor pays for West Windsor kids, Plainsboro pays for Plainsboro kids. The ratio has been roughly 60 to 40 for a long time. It goes up by 0.1 here and there, year to year. But if you add this development, this means the cost of educating these 1,500 kids will be on the back of West Windsor taxpayers alone. At the current cost of roughly 18,000 per student, that is an additional tax burden of over $25 million annually. Let me talk a little bit about traffic since people are worried about traffic. Even at 1.25 cars per household, those 2,200 apartments will add 2,750 cars to our roads. Most of these cars will travel into town for school, athletic events, and shopping. Most of the household-related traffic is also concentrated during the morning and evening peak hours. For those of you along Clarksville Road who are worried about traffic, ask yourself, how many school buses will be required to transport 1,500 kids? How many of those 2,750 cars will take Clarksville Road to go points to the north? How many of Amazon, UPS, and FedEx delivery and service trucks will be coming through to support this new city within West Windsor? How would the traffic on Clarksville Road look when the development is built? And it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. To illustrate the enormity of challenge in another way, the former Howard Hughes property at 645 acres is about 55% of the area of the old Princeton borough, which was about 1,180 acres. The Princeton borough population, based on the 2010 census, was 12,300. Taking a simple ratio, housing on this property will add roughly 6,800 people to West Windsor, or about 23% increase in our population. If you think about what will happen to West Windsor if we are forced to accept 15% more kids and a 23% more population, you can appreciate why I decided not to take a chance during the next round of affordable housing. And this is just from the former Howard Hughes property, not counting the 585 apartments from the site on 571 on Southfield Road that was proposed. Add those kids from the second development, and you are looking at 20.5% increase in student population in our school district. To give you yet another perspective on building apartment has on our community, the Woodmont apartments that are being completed on Canal Point Boulevard are on a 23-acre site and contain 440 units, just to give you an idea of how dense the current developments are. At the same ratio, even building apartments on only a conservative estimate of 400 out of the 645 acres would allow about 7,700 new apartments at full build-out. As affordable housing requirements increase with the amount of housing, successive rounds could lead to a disaster for West Windsor. Given that the rents went up 33% in New Jersey during the past year, rest assured, a builder will build these apartments faster than he would build any other project, including warehouses. Given these facts, I hope most reasonable people will appreciate the challenge West Windsor faced, even if you don't agree with my proposed solution. Before I answer questions about the project, I would like to take a few minutes to address the affordable housing issue, because a lot of people think it's racist to say no to affordable housing. So let me just answer it head on. It is true that every time a development opens in West Windsor, there's a far more demand than supply for affordable housing. Every round we do is oversubscribed. Thus, people ask, why not build more affordable housing in West Windsor? That's a fair question, but misses the true nature of the affordable housing problem in West Windsor and in New Jersey. How many of you know a family which left West Windsor because they could not afford to live here? I know many families leave after their kids graduate from school because they don't want to pay higher taxes. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about family which wants to live West Windsor, but truly can't afford it financially. There are a lot of families like that who simply leave without telling anyone the reasons. That too is an affordable housing problem. These people don't qualify for affordable housing because their income doesn't strictly fit the requirements for affordable housing. As a mayor, I feel I am morally obligated to help these people as much as trying to accommodate new people in West Windsor. What sense does it make to welcome new people in West Windsor only to force existing families to leave because it became too expensive for them to stay in West Windsor? Every new housing development is tax negative because the amount of real estate taxes paid are much smaller than the school and municipal expenses. Even for large, more expensive homes, the property tax going to school system does not even cover the cost of educating one student. For apartments, the tax collected is only a small fraction of the education cost. The money has to come from somewhere, and spiraling housing construction leads to spiraling property taxes. And ask anybody who lived here in early 90s, like I moved in 90s. This hurts all of us, but those least able to afford to pay are hurt the worst. They are the silent sufferers and equally worthy of consideration by mayor and township council as affordable housing residents. The newer members of community may not appreciate what tax impact the township faces when the district opens a new school. And you can imagine how many schools will be needed for 1,500 kids. Soon after we moved to West Windsor in 1994, the district opened two schools in quick succession: Village School in West Windsor and High School North in Plainsboro. The year each school opened, the school portion of the property taxes went up by 10% each year. How many schools will have to be built to accommodate the 1,500 new students? This will make living in West Windsor unaffordable for many existing residents. Some have asked, why not just build senior housing? First, there is limited demand for senior housing, and developers will build what will sell. Second, the new housing mandates are driven by affordable housing decisions, and they specifically limit how much is in senior housing we can build. We have already taken full advantage of senior housing wherever possible and are maximizing it. Both Avalon and the new development on Old Trenton Road will be adding to our already abundant senior housing opportunities. The proposed warehouse solution attacks the problem on two fronts. First, it prevents more students and thus keeps school expenses down. Second, it substantially adds to tax revenue to defray cost of existing students. If you want an actual example, look at Robbinsville, which has not had a municipal tax increase for a number of years due to the Amazon warehouse that was built. However, they signed a pilot, which stands for payment in lieu of taxes, or in other words, gave the developer a tax deal, which meant no tax payment to school system. Our agreement with Atlantic Realty specifically states that they can't request a pilot. This means the tax revenue from this development will substantially help the school district manage the school tax, which is the largest portion of your property tax bill. I hope this explains my philosophy on affordable housing and makes you realize the problem is far more complex than simply deciding how many new housing units a township is willing to build. The proposed solution that I have reluctantly accepted truly addresses the affordability of living in West Windsor for many families that are financially struggling to stay here. Let me now answer some of the questions and suggestions that have been offered during the last several weeks. First is other compromise possible? I'm a person to listen to any suggestion, so a compromise is always possible. However, any compromise needs both sides to agree to the solution. If the developer was to approach me with another suggestion that I believe is better for West Windsor, then I'll be happy to discuss it. I will point out the lawsuit that I inherited from Mayor Shea by the developer against the township has been pending for a very long time. The previous mayor, in fact, previous 3 mayors and developer have been trying to find a compromise through all kinds of economic conditions, starting with the real estate boom before 2017, subsequent bust, and following boom through 2017. They were unable to find a solution that worked for both, and this case was a part of our affordable housing lawsuit. So these suggestions have been tried through various financial conditions. It's not through various cycles. Unless something changes drastically, there is no magical solution. All developers and township officials have been well aware of all the permitted commercial and industrial uses for the property over all these years. Many of these uses would have been equally or more unattractive to the community when adopted on a large scale. And we would find ourselves in the same situation that not everybody is happy. By taking this path, now we eliminate the lawsuit that threatens our entire town with unsustainable additional housing. Another suggestion is, why can't we simply buy the property? The township simply can't buy any property because we want to, and definitely not to prevent a particular development. The property was never on our open space acquisition list, so it will be impossible to condemn the property to purchase it. That's the only way to purchase the property is if the developer is willing to sell it. The developer bought the property for $40 million in October 2019. You can just Google it. The property was not open space, but a working commercial research facility owned and operated by American Cyanamide Chemical Company for many years. So it was not a pristine land, but a lot of chemicals were used there. Therefore, the developer had to do a substantial amount of work cleaning up the 41 abandoned and dilapidated structures on the property. As most of you are aware, the land prices have gone up substantially during the past few years. Thus, even if the developer is willing to sell the property, it will not be at a price the township can afford. The total West Windsor debt today is roughly about $46 million. It would mean we would have to more than double our debt to purchase the property. Then there will be ongoing expenses to maintain the property. Both of these will substantially add to the tax burden that will force people to leave town. To give another perspective on costs, if the township wants to bond for that kind of money, we can build both the Van Drive bypass and the Pensnake bypass on our own with money left over. So just to give you a perspective how much it will cost to buy the property. We can build both these bypasses with the money left over, with the money it will cost us to buy that property. Finally, let me address the criticism that this will change character of West Windsor. I find that a little strange coming from people, most of us in town, including me, who are responsible for that changing character of West Windsor, from a farming community to what it is today for the past 50 plus years. Many of the old timers will say that the character of West Windsor had changed many times over the years. Philosophically, what is character of a town? Is it the buildings, the roads, the inanimate objects, or is it the people, how they treat each other, how they help each other, and a sense of community that they have? I would argue the character of town is the people, not the inanimate objects. The place where I was born and brought up, Bombay, or Mumbai as it's known now, has a character because how the people treat each other, even under the most difficult conditions. It's my sincere request that if you're worried about character of West Windsor, see how you handle disagreements and treat each other. All of us face this difficult problem of the best use of this property, not of our making, with limited tools to deal with it. Whether you hold the town together or tear it apart is up to each one of us. Judge people based on how they act, not what they say. Be kind to the planning board members who are all unpaid volunteers doing their job under the most difficult situation. And there was a rumor going around, I will tell you, planning board members don't get paid a penny. And many of them have toiled for years doing what they think is the best for West Windsor. Tomorrow, you will have an opportunity to show your West Windsor spirit. It is the WWP Strong Day. Please wear navy blue or WWP Strong wear to show your town spirit. Finally, I will conclude by saying both the planning board and I realize the traffic challenge posed by this development for Clarksville Road and rest of West Windsor. We will address it during planning board deliberations. If the planning board grants approval to this project, that is just the beginning and not the end. The developer still needs many more approvals from other bodies and several permits from the township. I, as mayor, the town council, and the planning board will do everything within our power to protect West Windsor. I hope that you realize that the decisions made were after much deliberations and thought. You may not agree or even like them, but there was a rationale behind those decisions. And that rationale was always based on honest belief of what is best for the future of West Windsor. Today in America, elected officials are rewarded for not making the tough decision and punting the ball to the future. That's not my nature. I'm willing to make a tough decision, even if it makes my life difficult. I hope even those who don't agree with the final outcome will appreciate the willingness to make a tough choice. Before I conclude, let me mention a few housekeeping items. First, the planning board has closed public comments on this application. Every person who wanted to comment and was present was allowed to make a comment. Everyone was told that public comments will be accepted on that day, and the planning board heard almost 4 hours of public comments. No more public comments will be allowed at the next meeting. It's time for the planning board to start deliberations, and it means both the public and the applicant can't participate. Same rule applies to the applicant as well. We will have a recording of that meeting online the very next day. Those of you who prefer can watch recording on all planning board meetings that are posted on the Township YouTube channel. I would once again like to thank the council for their kind invitation for the State of the Township address. And I would like to thank all of you for patiently listening to my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we move on to public comments, we want to take a few minutes to sign the 1875 map of West Windsor, which the township purchased from Historical Society, and the map would be placed in the council office when we get the office back. We still don't have our office. Paul, would you like to say something about the historical map?
Sure. So, hi, my name is Paul Ligety, and I'm the Vice President of the Historical Society of West Windsor. We are a 100% unpaid volunteer nonprofit that's worked in town since 1983 to preserve and promote town history. For those who haven't already heard my spiel about this, West Windsor turns 225 years old because it was founded in 1797. And in celebration, the Historical Society is holding about 3 dozen events throughout the year. This includes things like museum open houses, history tours, historic lectures, a War of the Worlds festival, and more. It also includes a variety of projects, including installing permanent cast metal historic informational signage in various communities, such as Dutch Neck, Grover's Mill, Clarksville, et cetera, and as well as a West Windsor history book that's coming out next month. So I'm actually here today again because of the map, as Sonia mentioned. Just a little bit of facts, because there are also facts at the bottom of that map. In 1875, our town was about 1,400 people. Now it's closer to about 30,000. Back then, there were several dozen roads, most of which are on the map there, and actually all of which are on the map there, of course, and most of which exist today. Today, there's several hundred. And back then, there were about 5 schoolhouses that served the community, these small little wooden buildings. Now there's about 10, and they served about probably a few hundred West Windsor students. Now there's several thousand West Windsor Planetary School students in about 10 schools. I hope the town council members and their successors as well, because this is being purchased for the office of the town council, can take a look at this map and use it to gain a deeper understanding about what West Windsor was, what it is, and where it's going. And I'm happy to see it, perpetually and permanently hung up in the town council office for them and their successors to learn from. And for everyone else who wants to learn more, you can visit the Historical Society's website, westwindsorhistory.com, or email us at westwindsorhistory@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Can I request my fellow council members to come and sign the map before we move on?
And the maps are for sale, right, Paul? Yes, so everybody can have.
Yes, this is the larger one. Smaller ones are about half the size.
Mayor, would you want to sign the map with us?
Paul, make sure you take a picture. Take a picture when we sign. Isn't there another map from another year?
There's a few. This is the 1840 and 1849 and 1860 or older. This is the best quality one, the most detailed and probably the nicest looking one.
Are they online?
They are. They're not really for sale. They're printouts for the year. They're just not that good quality.
But people can look at them.
They can, yeah.
Mayor, you want to sign? I think we can. We just sign. Yes. Just sign.
Famous autograph. So famous autograph right here. Fabulous. I'm all about.
Mine is the obvious handwriting, so I go last.
All right. Should we take a picture with it? I don't have my phone.
Tall ones in front. Tall ones in the front. Tall ones in the front.
3, 2, 1, say cheese. Thank you. Okay.
One side.
Say it again? Oh, I got it. I got it.
Got my good side? All right, thank you, thanks, Paul. 1, 2, 8 by 10, 3, 5 by 7.
And leave it out here.
Whoever's pen this is.
Thank you.
We will now move on to the first opportunity of public comments. The public comment period is 30 minutes. Each participant is requested to please give his or her name and address prior to making their comments, which will be limited to 3 minutes. All statements shall be directed to the chair. The council and mayor will get the opportunity to comment or respond after the public comment period has ended. And just a reminder, we have 2 separate public comments. This is the first opportunity. The second opportunity would be after the business.
Okay.
Do we have a list?
Yes,
Jay?
Shelley?
I'm Shelley Kiernan. I live at 420 Clarksville Road on the Grover's Mill Pond. We've been very happy residents of West Windsor for a long time. Our 4 kids went through school here.
It's
Oh,
an
sorry.
omnidirectional mic, so you gotta speak directly.
We raised our 4 kids here, and one of our old neighbors, civic-minded neighbors, Beth Fian, had a special concern about the American cyanamide site. I had spoken to another of our mayors about this, but in 1980, because they were required to, American cyanamide registered 11,640 barrels of hazardous liquid waste. They also registered 2 online landfills. And the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, I think, monitored 5 contaminated wells. As far as I can figure out, that was remediated, and what they meant by remediated was it was contained so that it wouldn't spread any further. Other people may know better, but I think, I'm sensitive to all the issues of, taxation and so forth. We're nearing retirement, but I guess I have a special concern about Maurice Hawk School. A lot of kids go back and forth, and the high schoolers who drive at the high school south are something else. I've been watching them for a long time. I go through that intersection all the time, and I worry about trucks. But it makes sense. Senior housing makes sense to me. Putting young people on a property with that level of pollution would concern me, and the trucks concern me. It's a complicated decision, but I wanted to remind everyone about the pollution on that site. It's substantial still, I think.
Thank you.
Next is Chris 10 Zaloof.
I am Chris Lemmond, Lemmond. I live on 10 Zaloof Drive. Council, Mayor, thank you. The nature of my comments relate to a request for information on the warehouse project. I spoke to Gay Huber earlier and she told me about the former process, which I'll follow tomorrow, but I'd like to make my public case. West Windsor residents are asked to understand, imagine, and evaluate the impact of the Bridgepoint 8 warehouse development with remarkably little information. We were asked to accept a few tables and a traffic study that show AM and PM peak traffic numbers with an asterisk at the bottom that says, trucks calculation based on ITE trip generation, 11th edition. We were asked on another table to accept on face value that for trucks, 10% of them will travel to and from the south on Quaker Bridge Road, 20% will travel to and from the east on Clarksville Road, 20% will travel to and from the north on Route 1, and 50% will travel to and from the south on Route 1, in a few short tables and numbers in the traffic study. What these numbers don't tell you are the large set of potentially debatable assumptions that go into them. What they don't reveal is the changing and growing business of warehousing and the exploding dynamic of e-commerce and logistics operations for just-in-time and last-mile fulfillment for businesses and consumers. What they don't describe is that the Bridgepoint 8 complex will be a bustling mini city in its own right, fueling freight commerce not just for the immediate area, not just for central New Jersey, but for much of the mid-Atlantic region as a whole. I therefore ask the developers, the planning board, and the board to please make immediately available to residents the business assumptions and the business intelligence that inspire them to invest on this 650-acre property in the first place. First, I would request, what are the types and the variety of tenants that will be utilizing the 5.5 million square feet of warehouse space? What major businesses have expressed interest so far? Walmart, Target, Amazon, UPS, FedEx, third-party logistics providers? What is projected for the developer as a business and a business investor? What do they expect of the mix of distribution centers and fulfillment centers? What percent will have 24/7 operations? What percent will be local last mile fulfillment centers with the potential for ongoing in and out traffic outside of rush hour? How did you arrive at the numbers, and have they been evaluated by an independent third party for their veracity? Second request, what factors and assumptions regarding these businesses and their operations inform you and Langen of their geographic footprint? What business intelligence do you have that informs you that traffic and trips generated will be to and from the north on the turnpike, south on the turnpike, south on 295, south and north on Route 1, east on 33, to and from New York, Philadelphia, Heightstown, Freehold?
Sir, your 3 minutes is up. If you could wind it up.
Yeah,
for
one
us,
last sentence.
please.
Thank you. Warehousing is not a static monolithic business. E-commerce has changed the game and the dynamics of the industry. A project of this magnitude demands an equal magnitude of information to be made available to residents to help them make an informed choice.
Arun.
Hi, my name is Arun Bhosle. As for disclosure purposes, I'm a licensed professional engineer in state of New Jersey. Good evening to everyone present here at this meeting today, dated June 13, 2022. I am speaking as a resident of West Windsor. I live on 288 Clarksville Road. So this is with regards to the application number PB 21-15. Applicant is Bridgepoint West Windsor LLC. As residents of West Windsor Township, we respectfully request the town council members and planning board to consider our concerns for the welfare of the residents and reopen the meeting for public comments scheduled for June 29, 2022. with the applicant for the following reasons. We request that the Township of West Windsor should consider creating a new ordinance to prohibit trucks over 4 tons registered gross weight at all roads which leads to schools located in West Windsor Township. In addition, in this new ordinance, we request the township to consider adding speed bumps and enforce speed limits within our town. I live on Clarksville Road, and I have noted how people are flying instead of driving, contributing to accidents, not just on the major roads, but local and internal roads. We, the residents, are willing to work in conjunction with you, the township, for any matters pertaining to this cause, including but not limited to obtaining the required ink signatures from concerned residents to support this petition for the new ordinance and present them to higher authorities, jurisdictions, including but not limited to Mercer County, New Jersey DOT, and New Jersey DOP. With reference to May 25th, 2022 Planning Board meeting with the applicant, Planning Board questions to the applicants were insightful. The curveball thrown by the applicant of rerouting the traffic to our town, West Windsor, is not acceptable. From referenced meeting, if New Jersey is limiting access to Route 1 and the Mercer County already have removed restrictions for the applicant, they are now trying to clog our town roads. It is evident that the traffic congestion by this warehouse has caught their attention based on the document published on Mercer County website that the traffic would be 61.85% due to this site. I can give you the references. This is like clogging the arteries for a massive heart attack and eventually death of this town. Another way to look at it is if New Jersey DOT, with whom I worked in the past, the big boss is worried about this development, then our footprint is so small that we will be crushed. The third point is, the proposed project is one of the large.
Your 3 minutes is up. We'll have your print
Okay.
of your comments.
Okay.
If you could email it to Gay,
I
you
have
can take it in record.
I
You have a copy?
request, if Geetha, she's the next one, so she can continue for others to hear.
I didn't hear what she said. Sorry, I didn't hear.
That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Geetha Desikan, and I'm continuing here. I live in 27 Hereford Drive.
Thank you.
The proposed project is one of the largest warehouse development in the entire state of New Jersey, given the ginormous size of the development. As noted in the prior public meetings, the inclusion of rerouting trucks to Clarksville Road was recently introduced by the applicant. The applicant has submitted preliminary and final site plan to the planning board. With reference to the West Windsor E Code 360 Part 2, Article 4, Section 200-13, preliminary site plan, and 200-14, final site plan and submission checklist dated 7 April 2022. The approval time for the preliminary site plan is 3 years and final site is 2 years. In this case, the site plan was dated December 3rd, 2021. Shall we consider that the approval deadline is December 2nd, 2023 for the final site plan? Does this mean we have time to get back to the applicant? The fourth point, we propose that the planning board insists the applicant to follow the original plan submitted by the applicant and connecting to the Route 1. An overpass connecting to Route 1 North and South, I-95, 295 can be an option. Other option is to consider is railroads to minimize the ecological print. Amtrak railroads are just located close to the applicant site. The next point is with regards to the safety of the school children. And I have 2 kids, one in Maurice Hawk, one in Village. So on the planning board meeting, the township engineers and their coordinating effort mentioned that they have coordinated efforts with Secretary of School Board. And as noted in E Code 360 200-13, it is a requirement. However, when we reach out to Dr. Adderhold, the superintendent of the WWP district, he confirmed via email dated June 3rd 2022, I quote, "I learned of Mr. O'Brien's comments last night, and I reached out to the mayor to voice my displeasure. My exchanges with Sam Surtis, land use, have been limited to a question about bus times. His inquiry came only in the last 2 weeks. No briefing has been provided to the school, and no ongoing conversation about the impacts have been had. The statements made about the conversation with me are grossly overstated and a misinterpretation of fact. Clearly, truck traffic is concerning and problematic and would impact all the 10 schools. In my discussion with the mayor, it is my understanding that numerous restrictions are being placed on the property owners by the township. It is further my understanding that those restrictions are going to be made publicly available to review potentially as early as next week." And this was the email last week which he sent to us. If this is the case, I will review the materials and determine the next steps for the district. I unquote. This explains that it is just not us, the town residents, but also the entire WWP school district is taken aback by this proposed development. Our SUVs and sedans are like ants in front of these container trucks. And I don't have to mention about the
Ma'am,
small
you're-
school kids.
Your 3 minutes.
Thank you.
God, that woman talks some shit.
Lynda Levy.
Lynda Levy, 6 Lancashire Drive. I would like to talk about the State Planning Commission and the warehouse guidance, the draft warehouse guidance that came out in the last couple of days. Does the township and the planning board know about that guidance?
This is public comment.
Okay, and so I would like to have an answer to that when we get to the next piece. But also, how is the planning
We all know
board
this already. Stop being
taking
so
that
fucking
guidance
stupid.
into account? I'd like to read a few pieces from the guidance that I don't think are really part of how the application has gone through and how it's been
Lost.
today. And as a result of this guidance, I feel that this whole process should be put on hold until the guidance is reviewed and the process goes through according to the guidance. This is a 5.5 million square feet development. And this guidance really says that this should be taken into account for anything over 200,000 square feet. We're talking about 27 times that size. So I'm not going to get through all of this, I'm sure, but some of them on the executive summary, it says wherever warehouse development happens, benefits and negative impacts will follow that must be carefully and equitably considered. There's no shortage of solutions for communities, environment, and economy. Guiding such development effectively requires a whole of government approach, commitment to long-term planning with a greater focus on the nexus between local and regional land use planning. So there's a lot in here about regional, local towns, county and state involvement in large developments like this.
Sorry,
For traffic and road planning, traffic studies should extend beyond the site and analyze the anticipated truck routes between the project location and the closest highway access point. So that includes 295. It also includes the turnpike going through the town to Hightstown. Truck traffic can present substantial safety issues. Collisions with heavy-duty trucks are especially dangerous for passenger cars, motorcycles, bicycles, and pedestrians. These concerns can be even greater if truck traffic passes through residential areas, school zones, or other places where pedestrians are common and extra caution is warranted. Reviewing board should ensure that proposed truck routes can be identified that are away from town centers, residential areas, historic districts, school zones, etc.
I take my own call.
For larger warehouse proposals that are anticipated or likely to have negative impacts on adjacent or nearby communities, the hosting municipality should consider funding its own impact analysis to at a minimum determine whether truck routes outside of municipal boundaries will negatively impact their neighborhoods, downtowns, historic areas, etc., and send a copy of this evaluation to the neighboring municipalities and county at least 30 days before the project leaves its time.
We need, okay. Council President, I have to take a break. I've got somebody hacking in and I got to get rid of them.
Okay, we need to take a break, recess, just from public comments for a couple of minutes. There's somebody hacking into the
Can you hear me?
Zoom link right now.
You're on mine tonight, so horny, started twitching, shut up. You wanna take it there? There ain't no problem there. Bring it back, break the back.
Jay has the list. Did you sign in when you walked in?
Yeah.
No,
Hey, chief.
you don't have to sign in.
You don't have to.
You
We-
can
We'll
still
call.
speak.
You
You
can
don't have to
still,
sign in.
you can still speak.
Oh,
You
John.
shut up, you
We're
bloody
just trying to
banchod.
see what's going on the
Banchod.
screen right now.
Banchod.
Yeah, I was trying to listen to what she was saying, but this was all going on the screen back there.
Hello. I think it's Robert Murray.
Nice.
Yeah, the pornography is coming from Robert Murray's screen. Can we get Robert Murray out of here? He's
Okay,
obviously
I
some
think
kind
we're
of pervert.
clear. I'll let you know if I get,
Robert.
but
Yeah,
I've
we need
had
to get Robert out of here.
log in
Robert,
with,
Robert is very
Blue-
good.
Wait,
Stop it, Robert.
It's back.
Come on, Robert.
Robert, please, we don't need to see that.
Disgusting.
Can we kick Robert out of here,
Council
please?
President,
He's the
I would
hacker.
suggest we turn off the
Moderator, please
TV.
remove Robert Murray.
Yeah.
That's gonna
Robert
be-
Murray is
Can
doing
we just
this.
turn off the TV? The recording will still continue for people who are watching online on Zoom or YouTube. We
Robert,
just want to
stop
turn
doing
off
this.
this TV right now.
Yes. You see what
Is there some obscene things happening over there?
Glasses.
Sweat to its clothes. Just like short little days.
Sorry, I don't want to get distracted here.
Because it was distracting.
Shut up.
Is the next one signed up?
Stacey Fox
And decay in all the round
did it and they came back again. Go ahead. Get started. Thank you, Gay.
Yeah, that was jarring. I'm gonna go fast because of the 3-minute thing. It would be nice if that could be a little less rigid.
Look at my name.
I am also going to speak about the State Planning Commission warehouse citing
see me?
guidelines, which I think are very
Could
important.
you state your address,
up.
please?
Stacey Fox, 29 Berrien
I'm sure
Avenue.
you'll find who I am.
The piece I'm going to be speaking to is community engagement, and I will include Lawrenceville, Hamilton, Princeton, and the other surrounding towns that will be impacted. Before I get into that, I want to say that you want people to not feel they have to leave. This project is going to cause a mass exodus because people are already saying they don't want to stay if this happens.
I'm sorry, what is she
Children
talking
versus
about?
Warehouses, children win.
I'm sorry.
We don't want to live in an
Hello?
elitist
Hello?
society that
Hello?
excludes all socioeconomic classes. My friend Chun Yu
She
here lives
doesn't know
on
what she's
Clarksville,
talking about.
and he was hit by a stupid driver just walking his dog on the grass. That person fell asleep, jumped the curb, put him in the
Who is
hospital. and
that?
killed his dog.
Who
So
is this?
he would not be my friend if that were an 18-wheeler. He's
Who
very
is
lucky
this?
with a small car.
This is my song.
Early and consistent community engagement is central to establishing a good relationship between communities,
can we
where
ban it?
information about their concerns, help community support
Tina, is it
projects,
you?
and develop creative solutions to ensure mutual beneficiality. Mutually beneficial.
Excuse me.
Wouldn't that be really cool? There's a list of things here that according to the guidelines should always be done. It looks to me like none of them work. Holding a series of community meetings at times and locations convenient to members of the community, incorporating suggestions into the project design didn't happen. Posting information in hard copy in public gathering places didn't happen. A lot happened during COVID. Providing notice by mail to residents and schools within a certain radius of the project along transportation corridors didn't happen. Providing translation, etc., didn't happen. Public meetings broadcast online. There was a major problem and a lot of complaints about no public meetings being broadcast online. There wasn't Zoom. We didn't get to be a participant or watch what was happening. And from what I just heard the mayor say, I think we're being told we can't come or witness the deliberations on the 29th.
You can certainly come. I think it's a open public meeting. I think what mayor said was no public comments would be taken.
It just landed. So thank you for clarifying that. I hope that didn't get into my 3 minutes.
Mary, is it you?
Partnering with local and community-based organizations to solicit feedback, leverage local networks, co-host meetings, and build support. We would have really loved you to solicit feedback because there's 40 other uses on that list. And it seems
don't
like
know who
warehouse
that
was
was.
the go-to. It's not
Madam
warehouse
President,
versus
I'm
housing.
sorry, but we're going to have to shut the Zoom down. We're getting a lot of lewd.
I'm sorry, but that woman doesn't know what she's
cussing.
talking about.
I
would like
think we
to
should
address
just shut the Zoom.
the audience,
Unfortunately, for the
You won't-
residents at
you-
home,
you-
it's
Wait
going
a
to be a
minute, Gay,
problem,
your
but
home movies have my
for
neighbor
right
in
now.
freedom of press, freedom of speech.
Can we,
Can it be recorded?
No, the problem is the people that are participating.
Oh, yeah.
in Zoom are being assaulted by the and under our,
I
Please-
can't
please don't
stop
speak
it.
up.
They seem to, as soon as I get two people.
okay, I just want to hear what our attorney has to say.
Hello.
Macron, thank you very much.
Hi, Gay.
Thank
This
you
is
very
Dale
much.
with Zoom Security. Can you
Because
hear
we
me,
do that
Gay?
as a-
The Zoom pirates are currently trying to
One
get into your
second,
meeting.
please.
Hello.
What you can do, Gay, do
You'll
not
get your
call them
time
gay
back, Stacey.
bombers. They do not like that.
Just give me a minute. to
Stacy,
figure
shut the
this
fuck
out.
up. You don't know
Hello,
what you're talking
Gay. Can you
about.
hear me?
Anyone
This
who
is
is still on
Dale.
Zoom that wishes to come to the meeting, they're welcome to.
Dale,
come
I
during
can
the
hear
day.
you.
I'm going to just put a comment in.
Sir, you
so
need
that
to
they
shut
know
your
what I'm
trap right
doing.
now.
They tried to do that multiple
How
times and
dare
they're
you.
keep coming back.
Gay,
And
can you make Sarah the co-host right now,
I think
please?
they are
Gay,
attacking
I need you to
the
make
people who
Sarah
are
the
on
co-host.
Zoom,
I think
whoever
individuals
is.
can be blocked.
Democracy.
There's a way to block individuals. I think.
We are attacking
God.
our institution.
They're trying
which
that.
represents
Concerted effort.
freedom of speech. America, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely distracting.
Yeah,
USA.
like
Oh,
when
God. Yes.
we were watching the screen from here.
Shut the fuck up.
Different.
And I need to
Expected.
report. I think we're okay right now.
Okay,
Lazy
Gay,
bitch.
we've traced down your home movies and we've got those removed.
We
If
could
you
sing
can
a
make
round
Sarah
of This Land Is
co-host,
Your
we'll move
Land.
this forward.
This is very inappropriate. I'm not happy with this.
Oh, there's Ray. Ray's on video. He had his actual webcam on. Nice.
You're beautiful, Ray.
Nice one, Ray. Looking
Nice
sexy.
This has happened to other township councils around. Central
Robert,
Jersey.
we told you to mute your cam. Don't
We're making
come back.
history.
We know who you are.
Not the
We're
history of
tracing
it.
your IP right now. Right now. You better run.
Oh,
We will catch you.
Robert. Oh, Robert.
Namarata,
Oh,
shut your video.
Oh,
You're disturbing.
The one member was sexy cows.
They're all freaking out over that.
Oh,
Hello?
Robert. Robert.
Oh, yes. I came. Jello's here. Naren, can you change your picture? You're kind of creepy right now. You're creeping me out with your face and your white hair and your smirky face.
Oh, Robert. I'm coming, Robert. Yeah.
I came. Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming. Oh,
that-
yeah.
I'm a big redneck whore.
Is that a copy?
Oh,
I'm a big redneck whore.
Naren, can
Your
you
mics are always jinxed.
can you turn off your webcam,
Your
please?
mics are always jinxed.
Not here, but just the planning
Just
board.
in the planning, but
Because
that's
there's
here.
Huh?
It's still here. Same.
Yeah, but it's different. There's so many more.
Gay, you're a disgrace, Gay. You're a disgrace.
And
I'm
a
sorry,
lot
but
of these are
don't stand
interconnected.
for what America
Yeah, I
is.
see that.
Freedom of speech. Do you know what it is? Did you take an oath to it? You are oath breaker, Gay. Gay.
What is going on in here?
You won't mute me. Freedom of speech, motherfucker. Stupid bitch.
Hello, this is Dale again with Zoom Security. Jim is taking another look at it. Did I hear Ron?
Hi, Ron here.
It's the Zoom pirates, Ron. We'll get you in
Yeah,
control.
not
Man.
pirates again.
so good, so good.
That guy's laughing.
In the name of God, what's going on?
Robert, I'm coming.
Another company called Evil Angel. Evil Angel.
Jay Huber, you're a disgrace. Freedom of speech.
Excuse me, has anyone seen
It's gonna happen
Eric
again.
Sass? I'm looking for Eric Sass.
Hi guys, very hairy around my penis, my balls, rock masturbators, jerk off. I take my own cum. The kids suck, fuck, jerk off.
D-69, hit me up.
All right, let's see.
Jay Huber, you're a disgrace. You are.
Veronica, I know, so I'm not worried about her. I did. Yes.
Back up.
Okay, yes. Because then we have to stop because that's my report. I'm not recording. Yeah. I think this is the only one. People here aren't seeing.
All right, I think we are going to get back on.
Okay. Did
We are hoping that we have fixed the problem.
Okay.
We hope. We hope we have fixed the problem.
We're trying, everybody. Sorry about this.
Sorry about that, Stacey. You can continue. If you could just go back a little bit because there was some distraction.
The State Planning Commission suggests a lot of coordination with both the neighboring towns and the local community because it impacts us all. We should have been brought into the mix according to these guidelines because that would only lead to success. There's a lot of creativity and resources in this town, and you should have tapped into that. These were not followed. Some of those include the broadcast online, which made us feel we were left out of the loop. Soliciting feedback didn't happen. Considering the adoption of a community benefits agreement negotiated with input from affected residents and businesses, I feel the businesses are in danger of being choked out because there are certain traffic situations that stop me from ever even going to places now. And the affected residents, a lot of people, but especially the folks on Northern Clarksville, like they should have been part of all this as well. Creating a community advisory board made up of local residents to review and provide feedback on project proposals in the early planning stages. These guidelines that are being handed down by the state, they're a recipe for success. We all want to get behind. We want to develop that land. But the thing about the warehouses is your conditions are temporary. And if you never want water, don't install the spigot. If I love my kitchen and my kid says, Mommy, can I put this little cage of cockroaches in the middle of the kitchen? And I promise I'm not going to let them out. I swear. I'm going to say no. If you build it, they will come. It's not permanent. There's going to be a problem down the line. And the only way to solve it is going to end up being Clarksville. You can't promise with 100% certainty that those residents are not going to lose. It's just impossible. We don't want to keep coming back year after year after year with the same fight. If we could get together and develop something that we all can get behind, then we put this warehouse thing behind us permanently. A lot of us feel okay with some housing. The last thing I want to say, and I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, I know you're doing your best, but the state of this township is disenfranchised.
I'm not sure if it's Mr. or Mrs. Ball, B-A-H-L.
So
Hi, my name is Saurabh Bahl.
Can you
Could
get
you
closer to the mic, please?
speak directly into the mic?
Saurabh Bahl, 280 Clarksville Road. I moved in February 2022. Yeah, 3 months old, I think, in this neighborhood. I love this neighborhood. It was an aspirational neighborhood back when I arrived in the US in 2012. And after 10 years, I finally made it. So I came from Lawrenceville to West Windsor. I'm very happy. I mean, people are like super amazing. I've been on the WhatsApp group. I think it's a lovely community. I see people really want something good for the community and they want things to happen. So now that was an introduction for a quick 5 seconds. I just wanted to take a moment to say a big thank you to all of you. I think you do a fantastic job and it's not easy to do what you do, but I just wanted to take a minute and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, yes, I mean, I've heard a lot of people come with some fantastic data and I came to know about this project like 2 weeks back, so I don't think I have a lot of data right now, but I applaud everybody who has done their bit to come with the data. The point that I wanted to try and make was mayor and the council members. I think in the old times, this was, you are technically the king of West Windsor, and this is the minister. No.
I have often said I'm not the king.
No,
If I was king, I could.
Just hear me out. Yes, sir, I understand. My point was that if you take this to the ancient reference, you are the king and this is your wise council of ministers who kind of help you take the right decisions. The word king has negative connotations when you look at what happened sometimes or somewhere in the history. But according to ancient texts, I mean, I'm specifically talking about the Indian text Mahabharata. The job of a king is actually to make sure that they provide for the people. And based on what I have heard and listened to, I mean, heard from all the residents and the texts that I've seen on the WhatsApp groups, I sincerely wanted to urge this council, which is a very wise group of people or group of very wise people, and you, Mr. Marathe, to see if you can open this for referendum or figure out a way to do something which can help this cause and reopens this case for further discussion. The residents want to work with you. We just want you to help us build this or just work with the entire team. So that is my 3 minutes. Thank you so much. And I really want to thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Chung Yu.
Hi, my name is Chun Yu. I'm living at 349 Clarksville Road. I think the first thing I want to mention is, I think people already know, okay, there's a distribution center already in the Whole Food supermarket, Amazon, drop off and pick up. And then I already see the trucks coming along the way down to Clarksville when they go out to do distribution. And I see a lot of situation, the truck, if they go down this way on the high school south side, if they want to make delivery to me, I'm right across the street. So they park on that side and just walk over. Sometimes they park on the side, sometimes they park in the middle lane. And sometimes if they have a heavy stop, they just make a U-turn and then right to the house, okay, and drop it off. And next thing, they make another U-turn and go back because their route's supposed to go along like this. So it's already a lot of traffic on Clarksville, generated by the Whole Food drop-off center. So imagine if we have all the trucks from the warehouse, okay, how busy is the street? How could the student go to school, okay, in the morning and get out of the school, okay, for activity after the school? I don't understand. I'm working from home. I sitting right in front of the window, I saw all this kind of traffic already happened. Okay, the second thing is, okay, so everybody probably see this, okay? We received this for tax assessment. For the last 3 years, it never changed, okay? The total assessment on my property, it never changed. But one thing did change, okay? The tax I pay every year went up. So let's say if the warehouse, okay, built, and then all of a sudden a lot of trucks, okay, coming to my street, then I think people start to moving out. I don't think the next time you reassess my property, the property value will go the same. Okay, it probably will go down. And then as a normal person, I don't want to live in the property. The value is keep going down, but I'm paying the taxes going up every day, every year. So how am I look that stupid to stay on this township, okay, for something? See, my employer is in Pennsylvania, Horsham. If I buy a house over there, the property tax I pay is only 1/3 of I pay in West Windsor. Why I pay that much property tax in West Windsor? I don't mind, because I love the environment. I love, okay, to take on the train to go to the city to see a Broadway show, and I can visit my son again in the city. My son like urban life, then he moved to city. Fine. My youngest son wanted to live in this environment. He stayed with me. So I love this, okay, environment. So I just want to keep this. My two sons already graduate. I pay the property tax. I pay for the school tax. I don't mind, because I like this.
Sir, your time is up.
So your
That's
time is
why
up.
I want to keep everything the same. No warehouses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I can't read the other writing. 20 Haskell Drive. Okay, sorry. I'm still looking for lewd pictures up here. I'm hoping stay away. Oh.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ajay Kaisth, 20 Haskell Drive, Princeton Junction. Well, I first want to thank all of you for your service, for your voluntary service. I want to thank the planning board members who have spent a lot of time doing what they do, and I really appreciate it. I know it's a hard job. Mr. Mayor, you gave a really good speech. I really appreciate hearing the numbers. There are some numbers that are contradictory, such as the 15 million revenue number that you said. I've seen other studies that suggest $5 million on an annual basis, and we haven't really targeted that saving for anything at this point. So putting those numbers in context, what I'm thinking about is, it seems to me that this is boiled down to a monetary issue for the most part when you dig down. A lot of your argument was about the cost to us as taxpayers. I'd like to know if you've thought about the cost in terms of our health and longevity. Have you thought about the cost of the township road safety for our children, for the people who grew up here? I've been here 27 years. You moved here in the 90s, as did I. And I've seen it change. We've seen Toll Brothers, Windsor Ponds, all these developments. The schools are still okay. They're still good. We've found a way to make it work. There is no other reason that we will find a non-warehouse solution to work also if we work together. So just coming back to my point, I'd like you to try and put a price on our health, our longevity, our pollution, which is air pollution, the fumes we breathe, the noise pollution from these trucks with compression brakes, the light pollution from 640 acres lit up 24/7, or in the nights at least, with noise. I'd like you to think about the cost in monetary terms of the flooding impact that might occur from 100 acres of wetland and 64 acres of 64 to 100 acres of wetland on the property, 1/6 of the property. I'd like you to put a cost on the quality of life and the desirability to stay or move into West Windsor, right? I'd like you to put a cost on that. Is it worth more than whatever $1 million number that you've calculated? And finally, I'd like you to put a cost on the property values that will decrease because of this monstrosity, as opposed to potentially increase if we have other uses. So if you think about all those costs in your monetary number, please try and put a price on them when you talk these numbers, because those are really important to all of us. So I'd like you to think about that when you make this decision. And I'd like to tell you that I'm upset that you've closed the public comment. Many people here are just getting to know about the gravity of this issue, the impact and its ramifications on all of us. Some people might say that's our fault. I'm not in that opinion, because information to me has been less than forthcoming, educational, and transparent. These are big numbers for small people like us who are involved in our day-to-day lives. It's very hard to digest all this information that seems to have come down the pike very recently for many of us. So I'd like you to consider reopening public comment. And my final question is, due to the gravity of this life and lifestyle changing situation, delay the June 29th vote. What is the hurry? What is the hurry? Delay that vote.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is up, sir.
Thank you very much for your consideration and for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Kaisth.
Alex Mattson. Alex?
Yes.
6 North Mill.
I'm Alex Madison. I live at 6 North Mill Road. I am not quite as, I don't have the numbers in front of me as everyone else does. I'd just like to share one story, just to kind of illustrate what I think is going to happen if this goes forward. I wanted to go vote at the Methodist Church, which is about four houses down from me. And I realized that there was no safe way to walk down Princeton Heights Town Road. There's no shoulder. I'd have to cut through the entire park that I can't drive through. I can't ride my bike. So I had to drive 10 minutes to go 4 houses down to vote. Now, I understand that that's not the fight that we're debating right now, but from everything I can hear, we're basically going to turn Clarksville Road into a supersized version of that road. And I struggle to see how we're going to have kids walk to school, people just walk to the train station, just exist in normal day-to-day life. If we're going to eminent domain the sidewalk, unless it's going to be there, and you're going to take people's property away from them in order to build more sidewalk for them. I fail to see how that's going to raise property values. I fail to see how that's going to help help with improving the quality of life in town. I only say that just because I've experienced it already in a very small scale, but it's going to be an everyday factor for all of us. And to say that it's not going to stop at Clarksville, it's going to expand to the rest of this town. One other point I'd like to make, Mayor, you said that we have changed over time in what type of town we are, but the difference from going from a rural to a suburban town to going to an industrial center with a mega warehouse that we might be putting in place is a drastic change. And to be honest, I don't know if I necessarily want to stay in a town that's going to change into an industrial center. So thank you very much. I resign the rest of my time.
Tirza Wahrman.
Good evening, Tirza Wahrman, 5 Stoneley Drive. And I also want to say thank you to the mayor and the town council and the planning board. I know you're working hard to do what you think is right for the township, and I appreciate your taking the time to hear us out. I want to join in the remarks that were made tonight. I think this is being rushed through, and because initially, when the settlement agreement was entered into on December 4th, 2020, there was no Zoom link provided. So just about everyone here, except for this neurotic nerd who was studying these things, did not know in real time what was happening. And in fact, I learned about it in April, a few months later, of 2021 when the Director of Clean Water Action wrote a piece about this proposal. So the residents are just catching up with this proposal, and it will be a massive, massive change to the township. We are talking 910 loading docks and 7 warehouses. It's the largest pending warehouse application in the state. And just 3 days ago, the State Planning Commission came through with a very detailed guidance. And the minute I saw it pop, I sent it over to Jerry Muller. And I also sent it over to Sam Surtees, and you've heard folks tonight talk about it. It really demands our careful consideration. So, we have Andrea, who I know to be a really smart woman, going to the truck data a couple of weeks ago and estimating 61 trucks an hour, based on the data that Langen presented. Well, we have an estimate for a 1 million square foot warehouse. This is a typical 1 million square foot warehouse. This is on the State Planning Commission. In their numbers, and these are folks from DOT, DEP, from all the agencies, their estimate is that we would have an average daily traffic rate of 1,740 trips. That's multiples above what Andrea came up with, I'm sure in good faith, looking at the numbers that were presented by Langen. So I am here to say sincerely, despite my personal views, that I think there are permissible uses in the settlement agreement, 41 of them that should be looked at. But even setting that aside, let's give ourselves time to look at the state planning guidance and then look at the settlement agreement, which has 41 permissible uses besides the warehouses. That's data centers, that's breweries, that's recreation centers. There are 41 of them. The developer agreed to them. That's why it's in the settlement agreement.
Tirza, could you wind it up, please?
Sure.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anna Lumby.
Okay.
Yes, I'm John Mulcahy at 2 Hereford Drive, and before my 3 minutes, I just wanted to say thank you to the town council and planning board and the mayor. I know I'll echo sentiments. I know you're trying to do the right thing, what you think is right. But before I get in, just wanted to say thank you because I forget to say it at the end. I want to raise a concern about procedural matter, for the planning board process.
You can hold it.
Is that better?
You can hold it in your hand. Lot easier.
There we go.
No, take it out, hold it.
All right, there we go. All right, so I want to raise a concern on a procedural matter for the planning board review and approval process, specifically as it relates to transparency and fairness. This was even before I heard what a couple of the other speakers referenced earlier about the new guidance requiring proper notification. In 2014, my wife and I, we went through the variance approval process with the planning board. We have a special needs daughter, our youngest, extraordinary special needs. She's non-ambulatory. She's got feeding tube. She's got, we have a hospital bed in the home, oxygen tank. Just her special needs are incredible. We were faced with the choice, she's getting bigger, more than we can handle in our home. We're either gonna have to change our home or we're gonna have to move. We made what was an easy choice for us. We loved our home, we loved our neighborhood, we loved our community, and so we decided we were going to change our home. We inquired the township, how do we do that? And I was presented with like a 30-page packet of, you're going to need a variance because the house is too big for, the property, and this is how you do it. And it was an easy, like 87-step process. We were forced, not forced, what we had to do, we had to take pictures of every home within 500 feet of our property to demonstrate, to evidence to our neighbors and to the township that we weren't destroying the character and the fabric of our community. We had to send certified mail to every person, to every household within 200 feet of our property. And, you know, we went to the planning board and it was all professional and everything was fine. And the truth is that our renovation had a zero negative impact on the community. And it was very, very easy to go through. But everybody, per the West Windsor requirements, was properly informed. So what's my point? I'm actually okay with the process and how it worked. You know, so we wanted to do a big project, big for our home, and we had to notify everybody, make it crystal clear what we were doing, invite them by certified mail, not like an email posting or just like an email or a posting on Facebook. We had to send certified mail so that every impacted party that had any concern at all could come, and when we were presenting the variance to the planning board, they could voice, you know, support or opposition, their choice, but they were well informed and they were delivered the news.
Sarah, your time is up.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry, just please,
if you
please.
could wind up, please.
I'll wrap it up quickly. So we're in favor of the requirements, and we just ask that it's a level playing field and essentially the same requirements for others, especially when you have a development that is going to have an enormous impact well beyond its footprint. I would say that any impacted party, you know, when you have truck traffic by the hundreds or thousands barreling down Clarksville Road, and when that backs up down Village Road and down Old Trenton Road and Washington Road and every road, any resident that is on, near, or impacted by this dramatic, this devastating, this destructive impact to our community should receive a certified mailing as to what is going on, what the impact is, and an invitation to make comments to the planning board. And I realize it may not, you know, it's going to be easy. It might not be. You know, it's going to take time. Well, so be it. And just let the people be properly informed and let them have a say. And if it's too difficult to do it, you know, it's too many mailings, too whatever, then just put it on the ballot and let there be a referendum and the people will decide.
Thank you, sir.
Resident of 286 Clarksville. 286 Clarksville. I don't want to butcher your name.
And if everyone could please stick to the 3-minute time limit, it's getting a little out of hand. So we really would appreciate it. Thank you.
Madam President, are we extending the 30-minute session to?
How many more residents do we have in
I
line?
have this gentleman and 3 more in here, and then I'm not sure who online will want to speak, but I have about a dozen. I would continue so that we get this part done, then we can go on to our business.
That's fine. Let's finish this.
And again, Madam Chair, you've got to stick to the 3 minutes because it's not fair to everyone else. Everyone wants to get a chance to speak. You go over the 3 minutes, you're taking their time. Thank you.
Hello, planning board members. My name is Khurram Waheed, and I'm a resident of 286 Clarksville Road. So these days I'm doing a couple of the social work, like I'm trying to meet with the people. I'm trying to spread the awareness about the warehousing. So last Saturday, I was standing at the farmer's market. I discussed it with one of the lady. She was a single mother and she moved, actually, I couldn't say she moved, she actually basically forced to move from Burlington County to the West Windsor. So she was running at the one small business at the Burlington County, and her house is basically forced to evacuate because of the warehousing. So the warehousing, basically they just came out in the Burlington County, and all of her the shops, basically it was evacuated because of the warehousing. So she currently she's a resident of the West Windsor, and when I told her about the warehousing is also again is coming up into the West Windsor, she started crying because she was a single mother. She needs to take care of the 3 children, and if the warehousing is coming again to this West Windsor, it means She needs to evacuate again from the West Windsor. She's running a pottery barn, shops at the President Shopping Center. So you, in your speech, I listened carefully into your each and every point. You talked about the humanitarian point. You talk about the humanity point. So did you consider that this warehouse decision, which you have made it, which you need to make it, is going to destroy the millions of the small shops at the West Windsor? Did you consider that not the ones, I mean, not just forget about the thousands of housing, like, I'm not talking about the traffic route and about the traffic surrounding to, but it is going to destroy the small businesses of all the surrounding. People does not want to go to the shopping center to buy anything from the shops because of the traffic or because of the other things. And if this decision is going to destroy this one house, it means this is your bad decision. And your one bad decision means it's going to destroy the one household. So just look at the single mother with whom I met it on the last Saturday at the farmers market. She forced to move out from the Burlington County because of the warehousing. Right now she's a resident of the West Windsor, but in near future she again needs to quit it from the West Windsor, and she needs to find it again another place where she can open up their small business, and then she needs to survive the 3 kids as well. So if whatever the decision you are making it's going to impact the small business a lot. So just think about it, like if you're making a decision about the warehousing, but ultimately you are going to destroy the whole West Windsor. So think about your decision. Because if one's household suffer, it means your decision is bad.
Mr. Shaw or Mrs. Shaw? 1 Cardiff Court? Oh, he left?
He left.
Okay, Ram? 2 Cardiff Court? Ram? Did he leave? Okay, you're up next.
Hi, everyone, especially hi to my friends that I know here.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Niloofer, and I'm at 19 Ziloof. So today's been a really busy, hectic day for me, and I decided to listen in online. Mr. Mayor, your speaking skills are incredible. I must applaud you. I think I might take some public speaking classes from you going forward. Thank you so much for a very uplifting and insightful speech that you gave us. While I was listening, when the mayor was talking, it was perfect. There was no disturbance. You were loud and clear and precise. However, when the public speaking started and I was online, there was a lot of disturbance. There was pornography that was shown. There was people laughing, ridiculing, especially when Stacey Fox got up to speak. Unfortunately, I could not even hear Stacey Fox speak.
Niloofer, can I just
yes,
say something? At that moment, the disturbance that you were talking about, there was a hacker
Fox.
There was
a hacker that
there-
was hacking Stacey Fox. Let me be very clear here. And
understand-
let me finish. Otherwise, are you
Your
reaching
time-
out into
your
my
time
3
will be
minutes?
cut,
Okay,
But
thank you.
I'm just saying there was a hack that had
Yes.
happened on our Zoom.
Yes.
Everybody here knew that, and we stopped. We put a recess because we needed to figure out. Our chief was involved to figure out what was going on because there was a lot of that's the reason why the screen in the back is shut off, because we were not able to concentrate on listen to
Yes.
public.
Yes, and that's what makes me think that there are some interested parties in this warehouse where the stakes are really, really high. I mean, who would stoop so low that when the public comments section starts, there starts disturbances? Like every time, before that, this was perfectly okay. Just when the public speaking comments start, there's so much of disturbance. Not just that, they knew who to pick. When Stacey Fox came up to speak, I could not hear her. I appreciate you gave her more time to speak, but I ask and demand that recording from start to finish, not the cleaned up version, that recording make public and hand it over to me. I will give you my email and a thorough investigation be done on who those perpetrators were, because obviously they did not want the public comments to be heard. And obviously there are some stakes here that are really high. All it does is helps me and invigorates me to really take this up as a cause, because I think there's something going on here that we all should be aware of. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Ms. Niloofer?
ma'am, if you would email me tomorrow, if you would email me, the township clerk, I will get you a copy of the Zoom recording. Okay? Yep. Thank you. That's it. We've never thankfully been till tonight.
So
And
this
I'm
is the
gonna
first
tell
time
you-
The chief of
seen.
police was here and was investigating. it
Just
was
as
happening.
they were all reported to Zoom and removed as fast as I could, but they were popping up faster than I could keep up with them, to be honest with you. So
If you
I
don't
thank
mind,
you.
I will reiterate, please check that video original. I think we have some cops here. Please.
No,
Please investigate this, because it is absolutely unfair that when the mayor was speaking, it was perfect. I love your speaking skills, Mr. Mayor. I was impressed. And when the public, we as residents and
Ms. Niloofer.
taxpayers started to speak, there was disturbance, there was pornography. My son was listening in. I can tell you that it is not impressive. It is stooping to the lowest behavior, and only people with the highest stakes involved will stoop to such low behavior. And this has to be thoroughly investigated by an independent committee, not appointed by the planning board or any of the members of the planning board. Thank you.
Okay, we're now going to go to the online. Sir, please
Sir,
sit
please
down.
sit down.
Please sit down. We're going to the online people. If you would please, if you would please raise your hand if anybody wants to speak who's online, and I will unmute you.
Hi, Ms. Huber. Can I talk? This is
You
Veronica.
can,
Mehno.
Mrs. Mehno. Thank you for being patient with us.
Oh, not a problem. So Veronica Mehno, 41 Galston Drive. Thank you so much for organizing this. And it was very interesting to hear what the mayor has to say. I would like to correct certain statements. First and foremost, if you take a look at the school long-range facility plan that Mr. Radical sent to NJDOE, the projected number of students for 2024, it's 8,400 students. Mr. Mayor, you were the president of the BOE when Victoria Neal was a superintendent. And at that time, there were already 9,500 students. What I'm trying to say is that by 2024, they are already forecasting that 1,100 students less in all the school districts. In addition, in 2018, there was a referendum to expand the schools. So please stop the fearmonger statements that the schools are overcrowded and that parents are going to be upset of 15% more of the classroom size, because that is not true, Mr. Mayor. And as president of the BOE, you should be ashamed for making this type of statements. There is more than enough room and everybody's paying more than enough in taxes for students to come in, and people are more than happy to have houses and not trucks going up and down Clarksville Road. In addition, a second point, you are always trying to do the famous CYA by saying, we will try as possible as we can, or as possible as it allows us, but you're never going to say 100%. So in this way, you're giving open doors to both ways. You're going to be like, oh, we tried, but we couldn't. No, Mayor, do what is right for West Windsor. You have a fiduciary responsibility. And third, and the most important point, you have an online grocery store, correct? Yes. You have warehouses in Piscataway, correct? Yes. You also said that the price of the warehouses in Piscataway was going up, correct? Yes. And in addition,
as you know, the perception, and emphasize the word perception you're giving, is that you never disclose this to anybody. You never told anybody about your business and the fact that you are in the warehouse business. So
Ms. Mehno, we're losing you. Can you adjust yourself?
no, can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yeah, but you're going down.
Okay,
Can you hear her? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, we're good.
The most important thing, Mr. Mayor, is that you are telling here everybody that warehouses are the best option when you are in the warehouse business. In addition, as Ms. Tirza Wahrman said, there are 42 other businesses in the agreement. And when you were running for mayor, you said that the warehouses was not a done deal. However, you never presented to the planning board any other businesses. And as a last point, you said that the planning board are all volunteers. That is absolutely correct. They're all volunteers. None of them get a penny. However, let's be true, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Gene O'Brien, who's the president of the planning board, Mr. Gene O'Brien, he has been the treasurer for your campaign, meaning that all planning board members are appointed by you, Mr. Mayor, in order to advance your agenda, Mayor. Not to do, they are not elected, they are
Ms. Mehno, your time is up. If you could round it up.
That's it. Thank you, Ms. Harper. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Mehno. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name is John Hinsdale. I'm at 38 Quaker Road in West Windsor. The $15 million revenue estimate for the warehouses, on which the mayor and Martin Whitfield and Linda Jeevers campaigned last fall, was conspicuously absent from the mayor's comments in his township address. There's compelling evidence that the township conducted no analysis that led to that number prior to approving the warehouse rezoning in the 5.5 million square feet of space as far back as November 2020. To my knowledge, no analysis has been done past that to this day. So everyone should know that. Interesting that was left out. Also, the mayor pointed out in his comments that there would be no resumption of the public comment at the next planning board meeting for the warehouses. The mayor provided no reason as to why public comment could not resume. And since the mayor, then there is no good reason. So since the mayor left out that reason, I'll give the reason to everybody. The reason that the mayor and the planning board will not resume public comment is that they know that if they did resume public comment, many people would come with comments in opposition to the warehouses and expressing concerns and issues. The mayor and the planning board's approach to addressing those issues is to prevent those issues from being expressed by the residents by keeping comment closed and not resuming the comment at the next meeting. That is why. There's no other reason that they're doing that, and residents should be aware of that. It's unfortunate and a little bit pathetic that the mayor and planning board are approaching the problem by squelching the voices of the residents. It really runs counter to the traditional American philosophy of people having a voice. I'm not so sure the mayor understands what it means to govern the public body here in America. And I wish he would maybe make up for his mistake in closing the public comment by allowing it to resume at the next meeting, or at least explain why public comment will not resume at the next planning board meeting. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Again, I ask if anybody online wishes to speak, please raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute. One more time, if anybody online wishes to speak during public comment, please raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute. Seeing none, Madam President.
Right, public comments is now closed. We move on to administration comments.
I have two announcements.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you off?
I can hear you, it's on.
Hello, hello?
That's better.
Okay. I have two brief announcements. The first one is crews are picking up yard waste debris and yard material in zone 2. And Please do not put grass at the curb. Our crews will not collect grass, nor will our trash hauler collect grass. If you have your grass cut by a landscaper, it's highly recommended that you have your landscaper haul it away. And if you cut your own grass, there are machines on the market that are available that will mulch the grass as you cut it. The other announcement is with respect to upcoming COVID-19 vaccine clinics. One will be tomorrow at Robbinsville Senior Center from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. The Senior Center in Robbinsville is located at 1117 US Route 130, Robbinsville, New Jersey. And the second vaccination clinic will be held on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022 at the Heightstown Housing Authority, which is at 131 Rogers Avenue, Heightstown, New Jersey, from 2 to 3 p.m. The last clinic for the month of June will be at the West Windsor Board of Education on Wednesday, June 29th. That clinic will be from 4 to 6 p.m. You can register online for any of the clinics by going to the health department's page on the township website. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Marlena. Mayor?
I have no comment. I've fulfilled my quota of speaking.
Right, we move on to council comments. Let's start with on the side, Mike.
Thank you. This week I had the honor of presenting the Kenny Baker Memorial Scholarship at High School North to a wonderful recipient, Jack Carter. And it was a great evening. There were a lot of awards given out, a lot of scholarships, a lot of money. And you just really got to see the caliber of the young students that we were producing in the township. One of the things I wanted to do was have a reminder that all of these meetings are on YouTube and they are all accessible, oftentimes the next morning. So I'm talking about the planning board, talking about our meetings here, and also the meeting that we had with New Jersey Transit talking about the proposed changes to the Dinky line. So those are all online. Just type in West Windsor planning and it'll come up. You know, whatever it is that you're looking for, they are there. Tonight, we're going to be voting on a mutual aid resolution. That's very important. What that does is it allows our fire, emergency services, police to reach out and get help from the local communities that surround us. At the same time, we then also provide those services back to them. And so this is an important vote that we're making tonight. I attended the Memorial Day parade that we had. It was very nice to have that again after not being able to have it for 2 years. And at the conclusion of it, I incised 2 stars on the American Legion Centennial Memorial in honor of my father and my father-in-law, who both have passed away, who are Korean conflict veterans. And just want to remind everybody in the township that you can do this for veterans in your life who have passed. They don't have to have lived in West Windsor. As long as you're here, we can memorialize them on the memorial wall. So if you are interested in that, just type in American Legion Centennial, and on our website, it'll take you right to where all the information is, and it'll put you in contact with Michael McMahon. Lastly, tomorrow's Flag Day. Remind everybody to go home tonight, find your flag, and put it out tomorrow. Thank you.
Martin?
I do not have any comments at this time. I have my liaison reports at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Andrea?
I'll take your time. I want to thank the mayor for his State of the Township speech. As many of you know, whoever's left, I am a council member on the planning board, and I'm unable to discuss an active application outside the appropriate meeting where it's being heard. However, I encourage anyone interested to go to the documents page for the planning board agenda. You can see the maps, reports, basically what the planning board sees, all the documents. And then you can also see the YouTube of the meetings if you weren't there, or if you wanted something you didn't hear, want to hear it again. And they're all available for all of the meetings that took place. So our town had a busy Memorial Day weekend. On May 28th was Bike Fest, put on by the Recreation Department. And this year also the West Windsor Historical Society added historic information for our ride. I enjoyed riding, and I want to thank the West Windsor Police Department for keeping the riders safe. West Windsor Waterworks opened up that weekend, and I was able to enjoy swimming in the cold water. Hopefully it's warming up. And I understand membership is up as well as day passes. So anybody wants to swim, please come take advantage on either a daily basis, or I think there's still some memberships. On May 30th, I participated in our annual Memorial Day March and ceremonies. Thank you to the veterans, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Little League, Orchestra, as well as the police, fire, and emergency services. I was also able to add a memorial star for my World War II veteran father on the memorial, and so it was a very special day for me. I want to thank Adjutant Michael McMahon of the American Legion Post 76 for setting this up, and also for encouraging me to write a bio of my father's experiences. I believe that'll be put online along with the other bios that are up there. I think there's over 80 at this point, names on there, and a lot of them have bios. So if somebody has a chance, that it's very interesting to read. It's 84. Okay, I think that was the other person. I forget who it was. Mine and two of yours. So we're up to 84. Yeah. On Thursday, June 2nd. We had a visit from a company called May Mobility, autonomous vehicles, to our senior center. There were a number of people out there that were very interested. This is part of the exciting Trenton Moves autonomous transportation project, which is being run by the state and also by the county. And it was also the kickoff to the Princeton University Start Smart Driving Cars Summit. I participated in that on Friday and Saturday, also attending the summit. 2 days of seminars and discussion on the future of transportation. On Saturday morning, I was honored to represent West Windsor at a roundtable run by State Assemblyman Benson with several other elected officials nearby, including Trenton Mayor Gastoria and Princeton Mayor Frieda. Then on Friday, June 9th, I attended and displayed my electric vehicle at an EV show at Princeton Hospital. So we had a lot of doctors and nurses come over to look at electric vehicles. And I saw and drove some of the newest EVs now available. So the future of transportation is all around us now, and I'm happy to live in an area we get to see it first. This Friday, June 17th, please remember Dive into Summer at Waterworks. This year, it's supporting the West Windsor Historical Society as we celebrate year 225. Finally, June 17th also celebrates Juneteenth, which celebrates the final end of slavery in the United States 2 months after the Confederacy surrendered in 1865. U.S. General Gordon Granger stood on Texas soil and read General Order Number 3, declaring all slaves are free and starting a yearly jubilation that still continues in Texas and is now expanded nationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Lynda?
Hello. First, I just wanted to thank all the residents that came out this evening to make comments. I did attend a planning board meeting, and there were, I'd say, at least 3.5 hours of comments there. So I just want to let you know that we are all concerned. We are all listening. The jurisdiction, the legal jurisdiction, is at the planning board level. The next meeting is June 29th. But I just wanted to, say that, it's important to hear from you. So thanks for coming out and sharing all your concerns and thoughts. Congratulations to all the high school students at North and South and at private schools who are graduating high school. All the best, with their college plans and future plans for careers. And I believe it's June 21st is high school North and South will graduate. Thanks to Township Clerk Gay Huber and American post 76 leader Michael McMahon for organizing the Memorial Day parade and ceremony. It was so nice to have the children in the various groups and the EMS participating in the parade. And there was beautiful music played by the South Band members. And John Roeder was there and sang and played America the Beautiful on his accordion. So we are forever grateful to all of our veterans who lost their lives while securing to protect our freedoms, and they are certainly our heroes. I attended the Zoom webinar on May 24th regarding the New Jersey Transit Princeton Transitway study. This particular meeting was set up for West Windsor residents. It was stated, I believe, by the consultant Santec that alternative one will be recommended to advance. There are materials that are on our township website regarding all of this. Since there is no time left for council members to ask questions, I think the township should be sending some comments on to Santec and New Jersey Transit to just let them know what many of the residents' thoughts are in case they do a preliminary design work. You know, that would be, I guess, the next step. So anyway, I think we really need to let them know our thoughts in writing. On June 2nd, I attended special events that Andrea Mandel, and Environmental Commission Chairman Ephraim Bukes organized. We got to see at the Senior Center an autonomous vehicle, which shows capabilities for an on-demand transit system for Mercer County area. The company May Mobility has moved more than 300,000 riders and has 9 unique operations in the US and Japan. So it's really, kind of neat to see the vehicle and what it's really like, and the computer inside that controls things. And
That was very interesting.
yeah, you read about it.
I got a ride in it on Saturday morning, so, that was neat.
Right. So, yeah, that's the future is here on that. It's developing. Okay. And that's it.
All right. Well, it's my turn now, and going last is everything is covered. So I won't take much time. I echo every word that my colleagues have mentioned here. I really enjoyed our Memorial Day parade. Thank you, Gay, and thank you, Michael McMahon, for putting that together. I think majority of the council sitting here, this was their first parade, because last 2 years we did not have one. It was really nice to see the community come together, and then the ceremony afterwards. On June 3rd, I attended the proclamation presentation by Mayor to the Moms Demand Action for the West Windsor Wear Orange Day. So that was really nice to see. There was a large group that came and accepted the presentation. So thank you, Mayor, for doing that. Just a couple of reminders. June 17th, this coming Friday, is Dive Into Summer at Waterworks. It's $5 per person. You don't have to be a member. Anybody can join the Waterworks that day. It will be a fun-packed afternoon at the pool with DJ, food, community booths, West Windsor history, trivia, and more. In celebration of year 225, and all the funds raised would go to the Historical Society of West Windsor. If anybody is interested in setting up a booth, just email www.givesback@gmail.com. Tomorrow, June 14th, is West Windsor Plainsboro Strong Spirit Day. So I think the district is encouraging everybody to wear navy blue, or if you have the Spirit Wear shirt, do that. I just want to end by thanking everybody, all the residents who came in and spoke to us about their concerns. We are watching, the council is watching the planning board hearings on Bridgepoint 8 proposal. I just want to let you know that we share your concerns, but town council cannot interfere in with planning board's decision making at this point. And hence you don't hear us speak because we don't want to interfere, and we just want to safeguard the township from any lawsuits that may or may not come our way. So that's the reason I've been asked by many people why Township Council is not saying anything, but that's the reason. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to consent agenda.
Bills and claims.
Does anybody have any questions? Motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Jeevers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Galvez.
Yes. Before we move on, does anybody need a break?
I would.
Can we take 5 minutes recess?
Sure.
Ready?
We're ready.
All right. Recommendations from administration?
2022 R135, supporting the Click It or Ticket seatbelt mobilization campaign for 2022. 2022 R136, approval of liquor license renewals for 2022 to 2023. There will be another resolution on the next meeting as well. 2022-R137, authorizing the approval of the place-to-place expansion of premises for Tommy's Princeton LLC, doing business as Tommy's Tap and Tavern. 2022 R138, authorizing the insertion of special item of revenue into the 2022 municipal budget from the Division of Highway Traffic Safety for the 2022 Click It or Ticket for $7,000. 2022 R139, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a grant agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for Highway Safety Fund 2022 project, $24,291. 2022 R140, authorizing the insertion of a special item of revenue into the 2022 municipal budget from the State of New Jersey Clean Communities Program for $64,384.68. 2022 R141, authorizing the reappointment of Lorraine M. Jones as the tax assessor for a term of 4 years effective July 1, 2022. 2022 R142, authorizing the business administrator to purchase various technological items for the municipal complex from CDW Government, an authorized state contract vendor, for $2,047.12. 2022 R143, authorizing the appointment of Martin Mandel as fire protection subcode for a 4-year term pursuant to NJSA 52:27D-126. 2022 R144, authorizing the rejection of bids for the project known as metal roof installation at Skank Farmstead and authorizing the rebid of said project. 2022 R145, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a contract for emergency repairs to an inlet near 750 Alexander Road in the right lane to Longford Landscapes and Excavation in the amount of $6,380. 2022 R146, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute an intra-county mutual aid and assistance agreement for police, fire, emergency medical services, public works, health officials, and other resources needed with the county of Mercer. 2022 R147, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute an MOU between Plainsboro Volunteer Fire Company Number 1 and West Windsor Township for accepting the donation of a 2005 ALU trailer for the use by the Mercer County Rapid Response Partnership.
Would anybody want to pull anything?
No, but I do want to say, I noticed there's a Mandel in there. It's not a relative and they spell it differently.
All right. Nobody wants to pull anything?
No.
Well, I'm not going to pull anything, but I'll make a comment after about something. After.
Afterwards?
Well, I can pull it now. All right, I'll pull it now, just make a comment.
Do you want to just make a comment?
Yeah, just make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
On
On which-
2022-R144, which is the rejection of the bids for the roof at the Skank Farmstead. I just want to know what the plan is moving forward. if there is not enough
We,
funding
that's part,
available now, we are about to introduce a capital budget, and I don't know the date for the capital budget yet. But since we haven't done it yet, and we can do changes, just as we introduce, then that begs the question of we need to talk about
I
this.
will bring it to the mayor, administrator, and the CFO tomorrow to have a discussion on how to move forward. Because it
Yeah.
would be their decision to make that change to
Right.
provide it to you.
Because I know, we all know as the structure of buildings go, if the roof starts leaking, and we've been through that. in
Well, this isn't the
municipal
first
building.
time we've bid this. We did bid this with wood a few years back, and those bids also came over over the threshold.
Right.
So we went to the metal roof thinking that it would be more economical. And unfortunately, right now, with the times where
Yeah, I
it's a
mean,
little
that-
difficult, but we all understand what the
But we
the
will be going back,
implications are.
we will be going back for a rebid
Yes.
after we figure out what the plan would be.
Right.
Yes.
But I would
Yes.
like to have whatever the plan is or a discussion as we introduce the capital budget, because if you don't do it, then possibly you have to wait another year.
I will
And-
talk to the mayor, the administrator, and the
Yeah.
CFO tomorrow and see if I can get an explanation
Yeah.
or a plan that we can put in place.
Okay.
Can I ask how far off the bids were from the funds that were available?
Quite a bit, and I don't want to use the numbers since it would show inference, but I can share them with you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep. It was not a little.
All right, that's it. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Was you, Mike, right?
Mike, yeah.
Yep. Jeevers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Gawas.
Yes.
Okay.
Introduction of ordinances.
2022-06, ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Township of West Windsor, establishing procedure for third-party hiring of police officers and amending Chapter 82 fees, Section 8218, Police of the Township Code.
Motion to introduce.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Jeevers,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Gawas.
Yes.
This public hearing will happen at the June 27th, 2022 meeting.
All right, we are now open for the second opportunity for public comments. Is there anybody in the audience? Mr. Church?
Good evening, John Church, 11 Princeton Place. Just wanted to mention, the public might be interested in knowing that large projects are reviewed by outside agencies such as the Delaware and Raritan Canal Commission and the Mercer County Planning Board. Now, these agencies have to approve the large projects that come here, especially ones on county roads that the county planning board is very interested in. Those meetings are public. They're held on Zoom. You can look them up on the internet, and there is public comment allowed. So we've talked a lot tonight about the local planning board, but the Mercer County Planning Board is a very, very important body in its own right. And their meetings are held on the second Wednesday of every month at 9 in the morning. And if you go to the Mercer County Planning Board website, you can see the agendas and you can participate in the meetings if you like. So just to let everybody know, you can do that. And it's extra agencies that are above and beyond what we do here. And their approval is frequently needed. And if they don't approve it, it doesn't happen. And if they do approve it, it might be with conditions, and those conditions can be very important. So just wanted to let the public know about those important outside agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Church. Anyone else? Do we
No
have
one on-
anybody online?
Nope, just me.
Right.
Thankfully, just me right now.
Just you.
I've had enough
They all left.
interference.
You had enough for tonight?
Yes, I think my blood pressure's way up.
All right, public comment is now closed. We move on
love
to
it.
council reports. Let's start with Lynda.
The WWP School Board met on May 24th. Thoughts and well wishes went out to the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 students and 2 teachers were massacred by an 18-year-old gunman. There was a presentation on equity and strategic goals, which included diversity, equity, and belonging. The committee talked to students, parents, teachers, and alumni. Students at South wrote a teacher handbook that was distributed. Besides professional development, mental health issues will be reviewed as they relate to equity. It was stated that students like to see themselves represented in the textbooks. In terms of programs, curriculum and extracurricular activities such as athletics will need to reflect the needs and interests of the community in order to create equity and inclusivity. Next steps include completing a prioritization matrix with the district equity team and launching action committees. Last week's scheduled BOE meeting has been rescheduled for tomorrow, June 14th at 7:30 p.m. The West Windsor Parking Authority met on June 8th. Tom Crane announced that he is retiring from the Parking Authority. He was appointed as a member in May of 2007. We all thanked him for his dedication and extraordinary service to our community. The Parking Authority approved allowing the Arts Council to use 20 spaces in the Wallace Road lot from now until September 1st. The Arts Council is having more events and therefore needs more parking spaces. There will be 3 groundwater drilling points being done through July due to the Schlumberger property contamination. There are some security issues with the Dinky waiting room not being locked. That came up during the Dinky line discussion. Daily parking revenues are up and nothing further to report on the solar project.
Thank you, Linda. Mike?
I was unable to attend the Environmental Commission, but I think Andrea will have something to say.
Okay. Martin?
Sure. I will try to be as brief as possible. You know, I can be long-winded with my reports. The Rec Commission met on Wednesday, June 1st. A few things were discussed. Council colleague Andrew Mandel did mention Waterworks pool membership, which is continuously coming in, still available. Bike Fest was held on May 28th. The numbers are approximately 120 participants. For those who are interested in summer camp, there's still camp availability. Please revert to the township website. You can scroll down to the recreations programs and information tab. From there, you'll be able to select summer programs and see the offerings. It was mentioned already to dive into summer is this Friday, June 17th, Waterworks Community Park. Waterworks members are free. For all others, cost is $5. Also, movie night will be held the same night, Friday, June 17th, this Friday, Community Park, in the area where Pop Warner plays, adjacent to the pavilion. There should be plenty of parking. The movie will begin approximately 8:30 p.m. and or dusk. And the special movie that will be shown is Luca. So this Friday will obviously be an incredible opportunity for many of
It will
our
be a
families.
family fun night.
Yes, many of our families can
Starts
come
at
together.
5 o'clock at the pool and then
Okay.
ends with the movie.
Absolutely. It's an
That's right.
incredible start to Friday. And I believe the Historical Society has something on Saturday.
Yes, they have a cricket fundraiser
Cricket,
at the
correct.
community park.
Correct. So
And,
it's-
and the car show could probably get rescheduled, the one that got canceled on
Yes.
Sunday, so.
So it's going to be a good weekend. Hopefully the weather will prevail. Huge thank you to the Recreation Department for organizing movie night. Next Rec Commission meeting will be Wednesday, July 6th. Moving on to Human Relations. Human Relations met Tuesday, June 7th. The meeting opened up with discussion of council membership, Human Relations Council membership, how the council could add additional members appointed. They believe that there may be some applications that may need to be approved and talked about the new member process. Of course, Community Day was rescheduled to Saturday, September 24th, 4 p.m. at Duck Pond Park. Human Relations Council will share a table with Sin Hunger Packing, discussing ways to have all members and groups in West Windsor come together. The next big topic that was discussed was a collaborative Community Day Peace Day. It was agreed that Peace Day will be folded in Community Day this year. Consensus is that ethnic, culturally diverse activities along with a student contest of some type with prizes will be appropriate. Given the uncertainty of WWP indoor school usage at that time, the belief is that it would be best to have Peace Day activities held at Community Park and push to bring the entire West Windsor community together outdoors. Panel discussions, which have typically been a part of Peace Day, will be done at a later date in 2023. In terms of a theme, all were in agreement that the idea for the essay contest, work of art, or poem would be peace through cultural understanding, using as its base the Declaration of Human Rights, which promotes rights through respect, understanding, and sharing of cultural differences. The question would be how to create peace through cultural understanding. What does peace mean to you? And to hopefully assure wide participation, student reps of cultural ethnic groups will be asked to have students perform or participate in some way or manner. There was a consensus that the Human Relations Council could find about 12 groups to perform, and they will be inviting state and local officials, singing groups and performing groups as well. Human Relations does have a new flyer, which talks about the work of the Human Relations Council within the community, and it will be posted in establishments throughout the community and also on Community Day in the fall. Next Human Relations meeting will be Tuesday, July 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Andrea?
Oh, and I hope they have my T-shirt from Bike Fest. That I think they didn't get all the T-shirts in. Yeah, and I did want to thank Tom Crane for all his service on the parking authority. I think a number of us have met him. Planning board on May 25th, met on May 25th and June 1st. They held the third and fourth public meetings on PB 21-15. Bridgepoint WW LLC, new warehouse development on Clarksville, Quaker Bridge Road, bordered by Route 1 in the north. Phase 1 and Phase 2 preliminary are part of this application. The third meeting was mostly discussion of traffic and roads, and the fourth meeting was mostly comments and questions from about 50 members of the public. After every public member had an opportunity to speak, the public hearing was closed. And due to the late hour, which was close to midnight, and the expected lengthy board discussions on the further deliberations and on some of the conditions, that was all postponed until a meeting, which is being held on an extra meeting day, which is the 5th Wednesday on June 29th. On June 8th, the board reviewed PB 21-12. Which is an emergency generator for Verizon in Penn's Neck, next to Washington Road. The site plan which was reviewed, which included a fence that's 12 feet high and substantial landscaping. The application was approved. This coming June 15th will be P 22-03 involving signage at Pep Boys on Route 1 and another amendment to PB 20-15. That does mean it started in 15. I'm sorry, it started in 20. The Avalon Bay train station project on signage and also the parking garage height. As always, I encourage everyone to check the website for the documents, drawings, and maps, and of course the YouTube for if you're not coming to the meeting to see what was there. I attended the Environmental Commission because Mike was doing an honor over at what?
I was presenting a scholarship.
You were presenting the scholarship, and that was for AIR, wasn't it?
Right.
Right. So I'm sure that was a wonderful evening. Basically, we had a presentation from VIA Strategies, which was one of the autonomous mobility transit people that we had met at the summit for transportation. And VIA is now in Jersey City, and I think they've given something like 13,000 rides already. They're not autonomous yet, but it's a type of mobility for cities, mostly a little higher density than ours, but it does provide mobility for people like seniors or perhaps people going to train stations and people who might not otherwise have good access to mobility. The other thing we spent some time on was the community rain garden and the pollinator garden. The rain garden is now finished after we all kind of spent that weekend doing the planting, and there's now a link to an article that Elliot Gordon had put together describing the rain garden and the process, and it is now highlighted on the West Windsor website. So I want to thank again Stephen Parrott and Paula Bahl for all the work and the design and purchase of materials for that, rain garden, in addition to Dan Dobromelski. And other than that, they have already submitted Sustainable Jersey, and they went through the calendar as far as when they're going to get some comments back and when they would have to resubmit based on comments, and also some of the items that were not completely submitted will have to be worked on in order for them to get enough points for the silver level again. And that was it. Thanks.
Thank you. Affordable housing hasn't met, so I don't have anything to report back. Their next meeting is on July 7th. So hopefully I'll have something to report back at our July meeting. Any additional administration updates?
None.
Mayor? All right. I don't think we need to go into closed session. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.